If you like this video, make sure to visit our Vimeo page and follow us to get the latest update.
So let me introduce myself first, then we will start with the introduction and we'll go ahead.
Yeah.
So hi, this is Anshul Agrawal and I'm the BI developer with the roles and responsibility including the ETL developer, reporting developer, and the database modeler. Okay, so I have a total experience of 8 years, and in this 8 year, I have used many technologies like SAP BODS, SAP BO, Information Design Tool, W, Power BI, SSAS, SQL, and different type of databases, SQL Server, MS SQL, Oracle. Okay, so these are my roles and responsibilities that I have worked in my tenure. Right now, I'm using the SAP BODS, Power BI for the reporting, SAP BODS for the ETL, the data integration, and the transformations. Yeah, and that's it about myself. Here we have today's agenda. Okay, so I will discuss what we are going to discuss today, and then we will discuss the topics, and in the last we will have the Q&A session. Okay. So today we will go through only the theoretical part because server access is still pending. So we will cover the theoretical part of the BODS history. And this is the disclaimer for this training that this presentation is only for the example images. References are provided for information purpose only, and we have the copyrights. ZaranTech has a copyright, so we should not use for any other commercial purpose or any other uses. Okay. Today we have the agenda of the overview of the SAP BODS, history of the BODS, architecture, management console, job server, data service designer, engines, access server, and the advantage of it. These the management console, job server, data service designer, engine, and access service are the components of the BODS. Okay. Okay, you already know the what is ETL tools. Okay, but I will not go into the deep, but I will just introduce in briefly. Okay, so ETL is just why we need the ETL. Okay, the business is running over the different geography, different time zones. Okay, and different purposes. Okay, but the owner or the management need to access all the data to drive the meaningful information for their business operations, forecasting, and taking the decisions so that they can utilize the resources. Okay, and take the decisions for their better business and for the future plans as well. So ETL is just a extract, transform, and load. First, it just extract the data from the different data sources, different type of data sources, and then after that it's transformed because sometimes data can be a blank, empty or the partial data, or it's not a meaningful data based on our requirement. So we have to transform into a meaningful data insights. So we just transform and after that we load into a particular place that we generally call as warehouse databases. And one more term is also there, ELT. Okay, it's slightly different from the ETL. ELT is extract, load, and transform. So some tools works on that funda as well. First they extract the data, and after that they just load as it is. Okay, and after that they transform the data. Okay, so the full form for the SAP BODS is a BODS, Business Object Data Services. And one more thing, sometimes the person working in this with this tool in the industry, they will just SAP Data Services. They will not say the BODS or the their Business Object Data Services. They will simply say SAP Data Services. Okay. Now let's come to the history. This tool is not developed by the SAP. Okay, it is integration of the merge of the two tools, the data integrator and the data quality. Both by developed owned by the different companies, but SAP acquired both the tools, and after that they just merge it, and now they called as a BODS, SAP Business Object Data Services. Okay, now they have improved it as well. Now they call generally SAP Data Services. If you access to the SAP portal, you will find the SAP Data Services over there. But it's the same thing. Nothing is changed at the background and the fundamentally. Only the name sometimes differs. SAP Data Architecture. Just 1 second, please. Before going to this slide, I will show you one more thing. Okay, this diagram. This is the whole diagram for the SAP infra. Okay, not only related to the SAP BODS. Why I'm showing you, I will explain later. So it has a three layers: user interface, platforms, and repository. Okay, web application console have the CMC, Central Management Console. Management console is a data service management console, and third is information steward. And we have the designer, SAP BODS designer, where we develop the ETL code design. Okay. CMC is used for the business object, SAP business object only, which is a reporting tool by the SAP. So it will not be part of our training, but it's a part of the interface designed by the SAP. Management will be used by us, SAP Data Services Management Console. Here we have a different components. Here we utilize this portal or the web portal for executing the ETL loads, scheduling the ETL loads. Okay, and the linear data analysis, how the component is connected to each other, the data flow, workflow. Okay, and the second layer is platforms. Here you can see the CMS, data service info object. Again, which
Sorry
is
to
a
interrupt
part.
you, Anshul. What is the information steward? Can you give that information also?
Information steward is just regarding the validations and the rules that we design here. Okay, so that we can utilize this applying for the rules, so that validate the data or some kind of the checks that we can apply and build these reusable components, and we can utilize them for the further data transformation or data validation.
Yeah. Just
Okay.
another question over here. Like you're sharing
Yeah.
this user interface platform repository. So
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
exactly, how is it links to us? You said like management console, yeah, that is used for the SAP BODS and designer we be using.
Yeah.
Okay. So how these things are like linked to the data services or BODS? Can you give us just a more information on this one? Because you just started with the user interface, and I'm sure that Mala won't be able to understand what exactly is happening this one. So
Okay.
she's not the
So
background of the SAP, so she's will not be familiar with all these things right now.
okay. So no worries. What we will do once we have the server by tomorrow, next day after tomorrow, we will go through in practically. Okay.
Hmm.
But let me give you more details. Designer here. Designer
But
is a web.
but the problem is, even if you will spend some time, it will she won't be able to understand anything. So we need something kind of a practical things over here. Mala, just correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it will be better if like I can see how it looks at the UI, how it looks actually, and then if you explain, it will be easier for me.
Unfortunately, today we don't have the server. That's why I'm saying.
Okay,
But
okay.
that question raised from my end to the ZaranTech team that when we are starting the training, we should be well prepared in advance with everything. So if we are just spending a time understanding it, it won't help much. So this is towards the ZaranTech team.
Nitin, would you like to answer this?
Because I'm sure you are also spending a time on this one, right? And if
Yeah,
the
I
participant are
understand.
not able to understand, then we
Okay.
will be repeating it again and again. That's
No,
all.
no, 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 Manu. It's not like that. Like, we will not repeat everything. Even like these are the theoretical things, the layer or the architecture. Okay, I agree with your point that it should be in parallel with the servers. But in case of unfortunate event, we don't have. But the thing is, we are we will spend
Sorry
almost
to
the
say,
time.
Anshul, but my understanding was that if we are starting on the third, we should be ready with everything. It's not at your end; it's towards the ZaranTech who has arranged this
Yeah,
one.
I agree.
So yeah, because I don't agree with this approach now that we are starting and we don't have the stuff with us. Then it's an off use rather than it's delaying it later. That would be a better approach.
Okay,
And
Manu,
I'm
yeah,
not sure why ZaranTech is the guy is in the meeting and he's not responding on that part. What is his name, Anshul? Sorry to ask you. I don't forgot
uh,
the name.
I think he is Nitin.
Nitin, are you in the meeting and can you please respond back to us? If you're seeing something
Hello.
on the mute. Yeah.
Yeah, hello. Can you hear my voice? Yeah, like
Yes,
Nitin
now.
is a little bit busy right now. Like, give me 5 minutes, he'll be back. Okay, he's in meeting right now.
Okay, Manu, I totally agree with your concern. Okay, but I think meanwhile it should be resolved. Okay, but we can continue if you allow
Yeah, yeah,
me.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. We should continue, but that was the concern I think which I raised.
Okay, so I
Okay,
definitely I
sorry
will
for the
have
time. Apologies
definitely.
for that one. Okay, just give me 5 minutes, he'll be back. Okay, I'll make sure that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Manu and Mala, and yeah, please see this. Okay, I'll show you. This is the SAP BODS designer. This is looks exactly like this. Okay, this is the real picture. I just took from the internet. I'm not saying that this is not from my side. Okay, let me explain you if you little bit. This is the landing screen or the home screen. Okay, not from this area, the white canvas area. On the left top corner, you can see the project area. Here we have the projects, jobs, okay. And the bottom left corner, we have the repositories. And the big white space is the canvas where we design our code or the drag and drop fields with the different type of objects. On the right side, on the right vertical, you can see the different components that we use. We just drag and drop into the white canvas area to develop or design the ETL code. Okay, so this is called the SAP BODS designer. Here you can see that on the top of it, SAP Data Services Designer. They are not saying this is BODS. They are saying SAP Data Service Designer. Okay, that's why earlier I said don't be confused if they say the BODS or the data service. Okay, this is the designer, and uh, this is the management console. This is very blurry picture.
Uh,
Anshul, we don't have any such screenshots in our training material.
Yes, we have in the bottom. That's why, but Manu asked me question this right away, so I just took from there. So this is the data services management console. Okay. So here, from here, we just manage the ETL schedules, monitor and execute the ETL. Okay. And we have one more thing in the data management console. Here you can see this. Can you see the administration part is also from the management console, auto documentations, data validation, impact and lineage analysis, operational dashboard, and data quality reports. Okay.
Hi, sir. Sorry to interrupt you. Please tell me, sir.
Yeah, so I raised a concern, like Anshul was sharing us with some of the module overviews and everything, and I think for that we require a practical things as well along with that to understand it more, because some of the resources from our end is not having SAP background. And from my understanding, before we starting the training, this was the expectations that everything would be in the place. Like now the server is not there. That's what I've understand once the training is started.
Okay, I'll do one thing. Let me discuss with Sam and I will get back to you on that. Okay.
Okay. Then okay. We'll wait for the answers from you that in that case.
Sure.
Can I continue?
Sorry, Anshul. Yeah, sorry, Anshul. You can go ahead.
No problem. Okay, so now you see the pictures of the management console and the designers and the purpose why they used. Okay. Now we have the platforms, which is invisible part. Okay, it just work behind the scenes. You can't see them. Okay, CMS is out of scope because it's a part of SAP BO. Okay, RFC servers and the admin services not again in picture because this is EIM. Even I don't know. Okay, to be honest. And for BODS or the data services, two servers comes in picture. One is the job server and second one is access server. These servers are used to execute the codes that we designed. Job server is used for the batch processing. Okay, first one, before going to this, in a ETL we have a two type of processing. One is a batch processing which runs in a intervals. Okay, we can schedule on a particular time or a particular number of times in a day or a weekly manner. And another thing is real time. Real time means whenever we receive something, some data, it execute. Okay, and it's again wait for the next event, for the next message or the next data. So it's run 24 cross 7, whatever it receive, it just processed. Okay, the job server is used for the batch processing, Access server is used for the real time data processing. So these are the platforms or the servers that works behind the scenes. Now come to the repositories. Again, CMS repository for the BO, information steward repository regarding the validations and in that area. Data service local repositories. What is repositories? Okay, repository is the collection of object, okay, information, metadata that we design, that we have, okay. And there is a two type of repository. One is local repository and second is central repository. Local repositories is belong to the developer so that he or she can develop the code, okay, and they can collaborate with the other developers, okay. Central repository is a it's like a Git, okay. Recently now in this and right now we are using the Git for the code check in check out, okay. But earlier when Git was not there, that they have their own the data, the version control management by the central repository. So what they generally do, they create the three central repository for the development environment, pre-production or the QA environment and the production environment. So you can check in and check out your code from your local repository to the central repository. And once you are done with the development and the testing, so then you can deploy the code into the production as well. We will cover this in a later, okay, not even in coming days. after a few days, we will cover how to deploy the code from one environment to the different environment and how to do the version management of the codes. Okay. So this is the architecture or the in the terms of layering. Okay. But now understand how the ETL works in terms of architecture. So here you can see the BODS architecture, management console, designer, repository, job server, access server, engines, address server, and directories. So management console, I explain you, and designer and the repository. So let's suppose you develop one code in your personal repository. Okay. So how the things will work? So you develop the code in your repository, which is available in the designer. But now your code is stored in this repository. So once you execute the job, then you will give the direction to the job server. Okay. Job servers identify the repository, the corresponding repository, and pull the code from the designer, okay, from the repository and the designer, and ask engine to execute to make the transformation that based on the rules and process the data. Okay. So this is the flow it works. Okay. Now what access server does? Okay. So this is for the same thing. Right now you can see this the bidirectional arrow. It works for the job server as well and access server as well. The only difference is job server works when there is a batch process. When there is a real-time data, then it's just transferred to the access server. That's why the data is coming from the real-time clients, and it access server just execute ask engine to process the data. Okay. An address server is used for the data quality. So in the BODS, we have different type of transformations: data integrator, data transform, and the data quality. Okay. So do we have any questions on the on this architecture and how the ETL works and how it execute?
Yeah. So what are the basically engines over here? What do you mean by engines?
It's a processing units. It's again works behind the scenes.
Okay. Okay. So you mean to say that the management console and the designer is the one which is repository basically driving them, and then this repository from the back end is linked to the SAP servers or our any other tools from where we are basically accessing the data, right?
Yes.
That's
So
what's in a
whatever,
simple words how I would
yeah.
understand.
So whatever you design in a designer, it is stored into your repository. Okay. Here you can see in the designer, whatever you are designing, on the left bottom corner, you can see the repository DS repo.
Yes.
So whatever you are designing, building, creating, it will store in this repository.
Okay.
Okay. So once you just give the instructions to the job server by the management console, okay, I want to execute this ETL. So what it will do, it will go to the repository, pull out the code, and ask engine to process this.
Okay.
Okay. If
One
go, yeah, please, Mala.
Yeah, one question regarding a repository. Like you mentioned, there can be local and central repository.
Yes.
So we will be designing in the local repository first, and once our code is prepared properly, after testing, if we upload it to the central repository. Is that correct?
Yes, exactly. And you
Okay.
can't develop the code in the central repository. You can just check in and check out into the central repository. You will always work on your local repository. It can be shared with your employee or not. It's up to the organizations, but you can't develop the code into the central repository. You have an option to only development can be done into the local repository.
Mhm. Okay.
Also, one more thing, like this code has to be run using management console. So can we directly run it from the local repository, or we have to
Yes.
transfer it to?
No, you can do that. You can run the code from the local repository as well.
Okay.
Okay, let me tell you why we need the central repository. Okay, let's suppose you have a team of 10s. Okay, and 10 developers are working. So it's hard to manage that which code is up, the latest one. Okay, and which code should be run. Okay, and on a one requirement, multiple developer can work. Let's suppose you break the requirement into 10 pieces, so 10 developer can work parallelly, and you can all merge your code into the one ETL job, and you can just execute that central job. Okay, so you get the flexibility to work. The multiple developer can work in parallel, and you can, after that, you just simply deploy the code into the central repository and execute it once. Okay,
Okay.
can we move ahead?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So repository, I explain you what it is. Okay, it's a set of tables which hold user created predefined system object source. Okay, here the management console that I explain you, impact and linear analysis. What it is? Let's suppose you are using different type of data flows and workflows. Okay, so how they are integrated to each other, how they are dependent to each other. Administration is all about the execution, management, managing the ETL, okay, and the monitoring and the scheduling as well. Auto documentations, operational dashboard, data validation, we will go through in a coming days, okay. Job server component help you to start the data movement inside, okay, that I already covered. So, and you can read this document later as well. Okay, so Sheetal asked that if we have the images or not. So you can see the images of the designer. Okay, so here you can see the semantic layer is nothing but just the data source from where we are getting. Okay, after that we have the designer. So we are just seeing the real time and the batch processing. Okay, and data services give you the option to connect different type of connecting with the data sources. It can be a file system, flat file, text file, XML, JSON file. Okay, different type of databases: Oracle, SQL Server, MS SQL, SAP HANA. That in your project you are working. Okay, so Teradata, so many PL SQL. So you can connect with different type of databases. And the best part is, once you create it, okay, let me show you one more thing. These are the reusable components. Okay, once you develop these things, you can reuse them after developing. Okay, and let me show you one more thing. The components we have into the data services based on the hierarchy. Can you see this diagram?
Yes.
Okay, on the very top comes the projects. Okay, in projects we have the jobs. Jobs can contain all these items that we mentioned below. But if there is nothing child item, then we can't go further for that item. Like a script. A script can be placed into the job, but we can't include anything below the scripts. Okay. Scripts are the text file kind of text format where we do the coding. It's simple English in English coding. Okay, it's very simple that uh, we don't need to learn. We don't need time to learn it. Okay, so it's very common scripting language. It only work for the SAP data services. So we will learn this and we will see how we can use that. Okay, workflow and the conditionals. Workflow and conditional can be used in jobs. Okay, and a script can be used within the workflow and the conditional as well. Okay, and in below that we have the data flow. Now the part comes, what is data flow and what is workflow? As its name suggests, data flow. Data flow is a container or the area where we design how our data will flow. Okay, here we design the source tables, we design the layout, the data, the source tables, target tables, and in the middle we define the transformation, what we will do. Okay, here you can see right now this is data flow is open. Can you see the yellow icon? Where is my cursor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is right now we are into the data flow. Here you can see this is source. Okay, and at the end we have the target, and in middle we have the transformations. Okay, and if you see on the top left corner project area, on the top with the folder icon we have the project, and second we have the job. Can you see the watch icon with the arrow?
Mm-hmm.
This is called as a job. Okay, this is the naming convention that we generally use so that we can identify by the name itself as well. Okay, the project is starting with the pros. Okay, job, it's not mandatory, it's up to you and the organization and the team how they want to name it. There is no restriction by the SAP. Okay,
But what is
so
the sequence, like how we are starting it from a project? So what is the sequence that we follows? Like first would be the project,
yes,
then can be job can be there, or can we directly jump into the workflow? Yeah, if we create a job is the must, can we directly jump into the data flow if the workflow is not required? So is there a sequence for this one?
yes, everything is sequenced and connected to each other. That's why I say
Mm,
this is the
mm,
hierarchical diagram.
okay.
Okay, let me explain. You can
Mm-hmm.
design each component independently. Okay, you can design the data flow independently without the workflow, without the job. Okay, that's fine, but you can't execute them without the following the hierarchy. If you see on the bottom the repository, can you see the arrow with the blue color?
Yeah.
So this is the workflow that we have in our repository. If you click here, right now we are on a project. You can see the different projects. If you will click on the job, then you will see the jobs, like the similar way the project. So these are the independent, we can develop these things independently. Like you can see the yellow icon with the arrow, it's a data flow. So you developed one set of rules with the one set of rules, the data flow. Okay, so you can use that data flow in a different way, in a different jobs as well. Are you getting my point?
Just
So
one question.
yeah,
Yeah,
Nala, go
please.
ahead.
Sorry. So now, if we want to prepare the data models, that's usually the first step. So that happens in which section in the data flow itself?
Okay, may I know what do you mean by the data model?
Uh, s- so if we have, if we, where we are preparing our source and target data, like
Mhm.
so like here I can see in the screenshot below DF data flow, it's showing
Mm-hmm.
TGT and SRC.
Yes,
So this we are pulling from the source and
right.
creating a so okay.
Target.
So first we need to create the data flow and inside that we will be able to prepare
No,
these data models?
no. I will. That's why. Okay, I was not touching that part, but I will explain you.
Okay.
So here you now let's complete this. Okay, then I will go to the designer. Okay, data flow is where we design the flow of data, how the data will flow. Workflow and conditionals are the superset of the data flow, which comes on top of the data flow. Workflow, as its name suggests, it will define the how the work will flow. What I mean is how the data flow will be connected to each other. Okay, data flow comes under the workflow. So we can use one or many data flow within a same workflow so that we can define that which data flow execute first, which set of data flow will execute in parallel, which set of data flow will execute in sequence. Okay, transforms are the options. We have the pre-built options for transforming the data, like I can show you like the query transform, case transform, if conditions, and so many transform we have. So we can use in middle of the source and targets. And now your question comes here, the data is stores. For defining the data sources and the targets, we need data stored. Data store is nothing but it's just a bridge between the your source or the target. It here we create the connections to access the data, whether it's read access or the write access. If we want to extract the data or just insert the data or update the data. So we just create the connection into the data store. And the icon of the data store is the blue icon here where it my cursor is. Can you see?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm really sorry that we today we don't have the server that I can explain a bit more, but unfortunately I can show you. But definitely I will show you in the next session that how the things work properly. Okay. After that we have the format. Now we define the connections for the data source. Now question arise: what is formats? If we are expecting data in a particular format, okay, then we define the formats as well for flat files or the XML files. Okay, so here you can see the different type of formats. XML message only works for the real-time job executions. Rest of the works or item can work for the real time and the batch as well. Okay. Now database is data store. Okay, it contains the tables, template tables, and the functions. We will learn how to create the template tables and the functions. Template tables are not the tables. First of all, template tables are in-memory tables which is created in SAP data services memory, not into the databases, whether it's source database or target database. Let's suppose you are processing a huge amount of the data. Then we use the template table so that we can optimize our processing because it's store the data in memory in RAM, right? So that's why we use the template tables. And adapter data stores, again, this is for the real times that we use tables, documents, outbound message functions.
Mention one question. What is the difference between adapter database and database stores?
Sorry, can you come again, please?
What are the difference between these two, adapter and data stores?
That I told you that adapter is based on the
I missed
real
it
time.
actually. That's why asking you again.
Sorry, I missed that part. Can you come again?
No, I mean to say I missed that part, so that's the reason asking this question again.
Okay, no problem. Adapter data stores is used for the real-time job processing. to define the data connections for the real-time data sources. Okay, it can be a messaging queue or in the event hub. Okay, or it's like a IoT, right? So we to define the data sources with the connections from where we are receiving the data continuously, right? And the database data stores are for the database, the the classical databases like the Oracle, SQL, HANA, like these.
Okay, yeah, database store is clear. So adapter database means which database basically? Like any simple examples that we can relate to, like
It's
IoT.
like
What is IoT?
IoT is like an Internet of Things. We like uh, like you are just wearing a watch, a smart watch.
Huh,
Okay?
huh,
It's generate the events or the data each and every second, right? So
hmm,
it's capturing by some softwares and storing into
right.
the somewhere. So
Hmm,
these are the real time data. Okay, so you are getting the OTP based on your transactions.
hmm, hmm,
These are the messaging queue. Just it's generating in a huge amount and just going, and you expect the response within the seconds. Okay, if you are doing your transactions, okay, you are expecting to be complete within a seconds. Okay, so here we need the real-time processing. Like if I give you the example, real life example, the ATM. You just go to the ATM, you just insert your card, right? And now it's checked in the background whether it's an authorized person or not, it's a valid card or not. So what it will do, it will just the data will come. Okay, the someone inserted their card, they will check this, the data will come. Okay, this come to us. So it will check the based on the rules whether it's a valid card or not. Okay, so it will just give you the response. Okay, this is the valid card, now enter your pin. So here you can see that it's a live, the real-time data processing happening here. You are just giving your input and you are seeing the output as well based on the rules applied on the background. Okay, if you provide the incorrect pin, it will not allow you further. So again, this is done by the ETL processes in the background.
okay, thank you.
Okay, so here we have the another screenshot that we defined here. Project job.
Anshul, one question.
Yeah,
Sorry.
please.
So there were like two types, formats and data stores in your earlier screenshot. So we can use instead of uh, having these connections from source systems like source databases, we can directly use the flat files also or XML files.
Yes, but it should be placed or it should be accessible by your the designer. Okay, let's suppose you have the installed the designer on your local machine. Then
Mm-hmm.
you should have the access on those files from the designer.
Okay.
But practically, it's possible. Yes.
Okay, and we can, for example, if we are using this a flat file and connecting it to a data store, like using a transform and then connecting to a table in a data store. So
Mhm.
that's a normal scenario, or a flat file can only be used as I mean, a target can only be a flat file or XML file in that case.
No, no, no. Anything can be used as whether it's a source file or the target file. Okay,
Okay.
but only for the Excel. Okay, Excel, Microsoft Excel file can be used only as a source, not as a target. But flat file can be used as a source and the target as well. Okay, that's why
Okay.
we have the format. But we
Okay.
can read the Excel file, but we can't write the Excel file.
Okay. Got it.
Okay,
Yeah.
any further questions?
No, thanks.
Okay, so here you can see the screenshot for your reference as well. Workflow, data flow canvas. Here you can see the job status, job server and the profiler server. in this image as well, you can see these two server icons, whether it's running or not. So from these two icons, you can see. So this is the only thing which is visible to you. Okay.
Can you just confirm which one is the job server in these two?
This one, I think. Or when you hover your
Okay.
mouse, then you can see.
Okay.
It will give you the name, which is whether it's a job server or the profiler server. Okay.
Okay.
So now you can see the designer interface, that how it integrated to each other. Okay. It's just a simple Venn diagram, but I believe I already explained you. Okay, so this is one of the screenshot for the data store creation. Okay, and the different options that you can use to connect. Okay, mainframe, file and transport, applications, okay, databases as well. And this is the screenshot for the how to create a data store. Okay. Now comes to the advantage. What are the key advantages over the other ETL tool? Okay, when it was designed or when it was introduced into the market, it was a leading. Okay, till now it's also leading a ETL tool, but now we have different ETL tools as well in the market, which is available on the cloud. Okay, so it was very easy to use. Okay, it's a very user friendly platform. I believe by end of this training you will feel okay, it's very easy job. Okay, because whether you only have to be a logical thinking, not more than that. You don't need to be a no even a single piece of coding. Okay, the only thing which is expected from you is to execute a SQL. If you know the SQL, then you will learn the things quickly and understand why it is happening and how it is happening. But if you again don't know the SQL, then you have another option to debugging. You can analyze what you are designing by visually. Okay, can you see the this glass icons?
Yeah.
Okay, so these are the icons. You can just click and you can see the data. What data is coming from the source, and you can see these glasses after each and every step. Right now, this is not in execution mode. That's why you can't see the glass on the query transform here. But once you execute, you will see. So you can see how what you are doing and how it behaving. Okay. So you can analyze each and every step of yours. If you know the SQL, you can go to the database and you can analyze quickly. Okay. But if you don't know, then you can analyze the data or your steps here as well. The only limitation is in SQL, you can do the analysis in the whole set of the data. But here it will show you the first 1000 row. Okay. So whether you are doing a right or wrong. Okay. So earlier, we had a different type of tools for the data integrations, data quality, data transform, then BODS comes, then it just merges everything in a one place. Okay, so that was the key benefit of using of the SAP data services. On top of that, they have a SAP BO business object, which is a reporting tool which easily integrate or are tightly coupled with the BODS. And they have one more tools, information design tool. Earlier, they called as a universe designer. Okay, I'm not sure whether you are aware about it. So universe designer or IDT, it's just a data modeler. Okay, where we define the tables that we load, definitely load by the data services. Okay, we just define the cardinalities, okay, and the relationships and the hierarchies. We create the measures, dimensions, okay, so that we can use them directly into the reporting tools. which is not part of it, but that's how it works, because they provide a complete suite, okay, from database to the reporting tools. So it will start with the database with SAP HANA, ETL is BODS, ITT for the data modeling, okay, and top of that SAP BO, and they have the crystal reports as well, and so many. Now, earlier I had the in the agenda with the some concepts about the data warehousing. So I'm not sure whether you all are aware about it, or should I cover it? Uh, so what would you suggest?
Data warehousing, do you mean basics or in
Yeah, like
depth?
what is dimension tables? What are the fact
Okay.
tables? What are the schemas? Okay, what are the relations
Yeah,
with functionalities?
I think it would be good if you can cover.
Sorry, sorry, Manu.
Yeah, it would be good if you can cover.
Okay, that's why, because it's a basic thing or the foundation for any ETL. Okay, you can't be expert until unless you know the basics. Okay, so this is let's understand. Okay, first understand what type of databases we have. Okay, generally, and let's consider with the one real examples. Okay, or a case. If a business ABC is running over the India in a different locations, okay, and you are the owner, okay, and you are just locating at the Mumbai location. Now you want to analyze the whole operations, and you want to take the decision from the single location, okay. And right now, let's just broaden this case. You have the operation or the business in a different geography like India, US, and the Europe, where we have the different time zones. You can't be available 24 cross 7 to take the decisions or the managers, okay, because there is a time gap. So, and they have the different business hours as well, okay. If US business in a scope right now, then maybe in India it's a night, okay. So there is no business hours in India at that time, so business is not running there. So to whatever the transaction is happening over there in this store or a retail store or the businesses, the data is stored into the operational database. Okay. Whatever transaction is happening is stored in this database. Okay. It's uh, it just store the data. Okay. Nothing else. Okay. It's have a few basic validations. Okay. Which help us to maintain the inventory, whether we have the product or not, or the prices, and some basic things. Okay, but we will not go into deep into that. So you have this is in US. Okay, and one second. One for India. Okay, and one for the Europe. Okay, and now you are in India. Okay, you want to operate your business from the India. Okay, so what will happen? How you will analyze the data? You need this all data. Okay, so what we will do, we extract this data from these different locations. Okay, and we store this data into a layer called staging. Okay, this is not exactly every organization follow. Okay, I'm just explaining the basic things. Okay, it's not mandatory following the same thing for the each and every organization. But what they did, they just extract the data, a simple extract the data in out of the business hours. Okay, so that their business should not be interrupted. Once they have the data into the staging layer where they merge all the data, okay, now they just introduce the ETL here, not here. Why? Because the continuous data is pushing into these DVs. If you read at the same time, it will interrupt the performance of the DV. Okay, that's why
Can I ask
businesses have.
something? Can I ask a
Yeah,
question
please.
over here? I mean to say, you say like they are moving the data into out of the business hours, right?
Yeah,
And they stored into staging table. So what in case like so you mean to say the migration is being performed during the business of hours, right?
yeah,
The data is stored and the ETL.
generally.
Yeah. And in case if we have a like because the data operational data will get update right each and every time it is the processes would be going on. So there would be always kind of a freeze period or something like that happening during the migration or how it would be with this such scenario.
No, it's not like that. They
Hmm.
what they generally do. They can have a different type of policies. Okay, they can what they can do. Okay, once they pull this data, they can delete the data from here, or they can have a retention policies of the 7 days, 1 month. Okay, they will keep the 1 month of data here in the locally, and after that it will delete. Okay, or they will archive to the different DB. Okay, but it depends on the business use case whether they want to pull this data on a daily basis overnight, okay, out of business hours, or in an hour, in a 4 hours of period. It depends, totally depends on the business use case. Okay, so I'm just taking this example as a retail store, the supermarkets, like,
Okay.
but right now what I'm trying to say is the purpose here is to don't interrupt the business. Okay, let's suppose if you are pushing something in a box and just pulling something at the same time, it will just interrupt your hands, right? So they try to this interruption because they want to uh, keep the business running all the times whenever it needed, right? So that's why we generally pull the data based on our agreement, okay, with the business, okay. That's why if I give you the example, okay, IRCTC, it's go to the for the maintenance on a nightly basis, right? They pull or they do something, archive the data, pull the data in a in the nightly hours only. Okay, many websites just go shut down or just doesn't work over the night after 12 a.m. or 1 a.m. Right? So these are the purposes behind this. They want to maintain the data, they want to archive the data, they want to transfer, migrate the data from where from the operational databases, because these operational databases don't have the much capabilities. Okay, can I move ahead?
Yes, please.
So once we have the data into the staging, now we can do everything. Now the ETL comes in picture. Okay, it means extract, transform, and load. Now the third part comes, it's a warehouse DB. Warehouse DB is nothing but just a storage. From on top of that, okay, first of all, whether it's ETL eating is useless if we are not using that data further. Okay, whether you are working in a data warehousing project or the migration project, okay, this is not the last step. Next or the last step will be always the reporting. Okay, maybe you will not be aware about it, okay, what we are doing with this data. But I can assure you, I can guarantee you, if ETL is used, then definitely someone is going to build report on top of that. Else, we are wasting our efforts. So always there will be always a reporting tool or something, some mechanism to reporting on that data. That's why reporting built on the warehouse DB always. It can have a data marts. Anyone knows what is data mart and data warehouse? Anyone has the idea?
Yes, I would say data marts are more based on the specific department's data, and data warehouse is a larger like a collection of many data marts.
Exactly. So warehouse, data warehouse, it's a enterprises level. Okay. So one enterprise can have a multiple data warehouses, but generally it can try to contain one data warehouse so that they can build the reporting on top of that easily. But in that they always have a departmental data. We call them as a data mart. Data mart is nothing but a subset of the data warehouse. What we try to do, if enterprises, okay, will have the HR department as well, okay, admin as well, operation department as well, procurement as well, inventory as well, okay, supply chain management as well, okay. So they just segregate the data into different data marts, okay. Then what is the purpose of doing this? Because there will be a financial data as well. If you provide the access into the whole database, whole data warehouse, then there may be a chance of exposing your confidential data, okay, to everyone. Like let's suppose if there is a financial data and you are working in this organization, your pay slip will be visible to any other employee as well, okay. So that's why we just segregate this data to maintain the confidentiality and the accessibility, okay. So we can apply the rules that who will have the access on a particular set of data marts, okay. So now you understand that what is ETL and how it works. Now understand the data models in these database, okay, how we try to store. Anyone know about the star schema or the snowflake schema?
I would I would say these two are the most commonly used schemas for connecting facts and dimension tables in different ways. So star schema will have like a star format for connecting the fact and dimensions.
Okay.
And the snowflake schema will be a much complex structure for multiple fact tables and dimension tables connected continuously.
Okay, so why we need to have a two different type of schema? We can go with one. Why we need a two different type of? Do you know?
I'm not very sure, but so like I have not used Snowflake that much. But usually Snowflake is used in organizations where different um, departments are using data from each other. Is that the right thing?
Not exactly. Okay, this is the problem that actually we have. Okay, what we always eat. I'm not telling you for you. It's human behavior that we just always trap into the simple things. Okay, we just try to implement the simple things. Okay, because star schema looks like a fact tables, okay, surrounding with the dimensional tables, and we just fall into it. But the thing is, we choose the schema based on our requirements, okay. What is the difference between the, it's just a layman language difference that, okay, the fact table is surrounded by the dimension tables, and the snowflake schema has the one more subset of the dimension tables. But this, trust me, but this is beyond this, okay. Now understand why we need and how to choose which schema is useful for us. Let's suppose if you want to retrieve some data from these two type of schemas, then what will happen for this? Let's talk about the first star schema. We will have the simple joins. we will write the code, SQL code or any other code. It will just simple code to, okay, select from this table based on this joins, because it's a have a only one single connection. Okay, but once we go to the fact tables on the Snowflake schema, if you try to retrieve the data from the another table at the last, okay, you have to follow this part: fact tables, dim table, and sub dim table. It will create a complex join structure. Okay, so it will reduce your performance, it will interrupt your performance for reading the data. Okay, that's why we have to make the decision which schema is perfect for us. Okay, right now I talked about the reading of the data. Now let's suppose we want to insert the data. If we want to insert the data into this table, dim table or the star schema tables, what will happen? It will have a duplicate of the data. Let me give you one example. Let's suppose Manu go to the shopping store, okay, and he buy 100 items. Okay, now 100 row will be inserted if we follow the star schema, because in each row it will have the name if it allow, or else it will have the customer ID, address, or the order, the products and the quantity and the other information as well. But the personal information will be repeated 100 times because the customers was saying but they buy the 100 products. So to optimize the database, we don't go for the star schema in case of insert of the data. We go for the Snowflake schema. How it works properly? If Manu buy the 100 products, then it will not insert directly. It will break the data, okay, into the chunks where it will insert the repeated information only once. Okay, this was the customer ID. This was the person. If name is there, if address is there, if phone number is there, it will insert the data in a particular table called dim customer. Okay, so instead of inserting 100 rows, it will insert only one record for the one customer. And let's suppose after 10 days again Manu comes to the store, then it will not even insert a one in a customer table because it will see it's already there. If something is changed, address is changed, it will just update it. Okay, so that's why for the transactions or for the operational, we always use the Snowflake schema because it's a normalized form. It's a very granular data segregated under different categories. Okay, for product, sub-product, category, geography, everything is segregated. Okay, there will not be a redundancy or the duplicacy. But in a star schema, there will always be redundancy. But why we need this star schema? Because we want a good readability. Once the management open the report, it should fire the query promptly and retrieve the data. Management don't have the sufficient time to wait to opening the report. They want a quick action. That's why for the reporting, for the data warehousing, star schema is always preferred. For the operational data is always preferred Snowflake schema. So whenever you will go, you will see all here, you will see the Snowflake schema. And here you will find the star schema. Okay. Any questions on this? Silence. Okay, so let's go to the last topics. Dimension and the fact tables. Can you even help me to answer this question? What is dimension tables and the fact tables? Okay, but can you hear me?
Can I just give an example so that everyone will be able to understand
Yeah,
for
please.
dimension and fact table?
Yeah, please.
So for dimension, like we have considered time. So if we have a specific um, time related data, so we will
Mhm.
create a dimension for time. Then if we have sales data, we will create dimension table for sales. So like that, we can have specific dimensions in the data warehouse structures. And now fact table is like an overview or a collection of all these dimensions together in one table. Um, so like we can have in the fact table, we can have a primary key with or an identifier for the different dimensions uh, together in one fact table.
Okay, so if I ask you to identify this is one of your, let's suppose, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, we
With
can
the
see. Yeah.
Excel open?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's suppose I'm giving you the real example, okay? Now the business say, okay, this is the data you will receive on a daily basis in a form of Excel file or in a database, okay? Now it's your job to define the dimension tables, create the dimension tables, and the fact tables define a schema or a snowflake schema out of it and load the data. And this is your data source. Can anyone help me to identify which will be the dimension data, which will be the fact data? It's a real question, real problem, and it will definitely come to you. I'm 100% sure.
I would say this category is fact data, right? Because it's repeating multiple times. That office supplier, office supplier, office supplier.
Sorry, what you said? Categories?
I think category is the fact data.
Okay. And what next? What about other fields?
Even city. So fact data is the one which repeats multiple times. That's correct. That's the fact data.
No, I'm not answering right now. I'm just asking. I will answer once
Hmm.
I will get input.
The data
Can
probably which is common across the data set
Hmm.
can be the fact data, and the
Hmm.
data which is like transactional in nature, that is
That's
something which is dimensional.
Mala, Sital?
Um, I would say like the address, all the address columns, we can have
Okay.
one dimension table for it with named address dimension table. So I can see columns like city, country,
Mm-hmm.
postal code, and region. All this can be in one address dimension.
Okay. So how you are identifying? What is the criteria? If someone will ask you
Um,
how you identify, then what will be your answer that, okay, you identify based on this criteria. So what will be your answer?
so I would take region, maybe region. As,
Order ID will might join everything together for one particular row because that is something which is unique.
Okay. So will it be a dimension or the fact?
Order ID should be fact.
Or in fact, because that is the
Mhm.
central point which is basically joining everything across.
Sital, you left. Do you want to answer anything?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like order ID should be fact, and also profit. I think it should be part of fact because it varies for every order, profit and profit ratio.
Okay. To be honest, everything is wrong except from the mala. It's partially correct, not exactly. Okay, let me tell you how. It's very simple, and even by seeing the data, you can identify. Okay, and this is the first step before designing or understanding the ETL. Let's understand the definition of dimension and the fact tables. Dimension is something which is static, okay, not change frequently. Dimension data is the characteristic of the data. Okay, if something is happening, this is the data. Okay, the event or the something which is happening or happened is a data which will contain the information and the statics characteristics as well. Okay, let's just talk about this first row. This is the order ID. Okay, one person or someone just ordered it. Manufacturers, okay, country, city, category, manufacturers, postal code, product name, region, segment. Are these the characteristics of the order or the valuable informations?
I would say valuable
Valuable.
information, yeah.
Yeah.
No, again, no. Why? I'll tell you. They buy something, okay, the product name, matches book, wire board 4, 5, 51, 2 inches, 4 or something like that. This is just a information, okay? This was the bought by the customer, but business is not run by this. They don't care about it. The only thing which is care about it, the discount, profit ratio, quantity, sales. In a simple terms, what are the data which is measurable, quantifiable is the fact data. Rest Rest of the data is considered as a dimension data. Dimension data is the correct characteristics of the transactions. This order was happened, okay, in this duration product this was sold by from this category city, the buyer category city, buyer country, customer name, manufacturer. Okay, but fact will be the that 20% discount was given. Profit was $6. Profit ratio is this. Quantity, how many quantities sold is 2, and the what was the total sales amount. If I want to differentiate this data into the dimensions and the fact table, then what will happen? Let's create a copy of it. This will be the part of the fact table. Okay, just ignore these two columns for now. Okay, this will be a part of the fact table. Okay, order ID now comes to the order ID. Order ID is also a dimension data, but it's a exceptionals that we store into the fact tables. Okay, it's a something called it has a name called something infrared dimension or something, but a a column or the value which identify the transactions or the event, okay, is a dimension data but always stored into the fact table. Okay, Again, this is order date. It's a dimension data. But here now it's in the fact table, it will not stored as a dimension. Here it will be stored as a foreign key to the dimension tables, which will be redirect to the dimension tables called dim time, the time dimension table. Okay. So here this will be the, now you can see this is measurable. You can aggregate, you can calculate the min, max, sum, average, right? So all the numeric values comes into the fact tables. Okay. But let's suppose order ID is 1, 2, 3 and like this. So never go into the trap. Okay, this is the new numeric data, so it should come to the fact table. No. Numeric data, which is logically in case of business use cases, can be aggregated. Then it will be the fact data only. You can't summarize the order IDs, right? That you can't sum the order IDs because order IDs to unique identification for your order. You can't sum the order ID, right? But you can sum the profit. You can sum the quantity. You can sum the sales. Is it clear?
So like what I understood that now we can perform any kind of aggregate function on the data which is stored in fact table.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So whatever the aggregation you can perform on data, that should be come to the fact table, not into the dimension tables. Now we left
Okay,
with
so
the plan.
basically, so basically, that is the main, I would say when understanding the difference between fact table and dimension table, that is the most important criteria, which basically differentiates the fact table and dimension table.
Yes.
Okay, because the reason most of the people here, including me, got confused with the kind of data is from the reporting purpose when we are retrieving the data. So ideally, or in obvious sense, we will say that the data which is repeating, it's there in one table, in fact, whereas the data which is transactional in nature, that is something can be segregated into different tables. Okay, so because when we talk about one particular order, and when we talk about its own characteristic, like you said,
Mm-hmm.
and when we see that the fact table is joined to dimension table in various schemas like star schema, or that other one, snowflake. So when all the dimension tables or many dimension tables, they are joined to one fact table. So
Right.
obviously the data, so that was the whole point basically. Yeah.
Right. Because
Okay.
in fact table you never remove any record. Okay, whether it is duplicated or not. Because what can happen? Okay, let's suppose 1, 2, 3 is the order ID. Again 1, 2, 4 and same details. Now Mohit and the Manu go to the store. They buy the same thing. Okay, they just buy some one cold drink and one chips. Okay, they did the same purchase, but you will have the two rows with a different order ID. You will not remove anything because here we store the transactional details which can be aggregated or we can summarize. Okay, it's pretty simple to identify the dimension in the fact.
Okay.
Now we left with the dimension data. So let's remove here from the first fact data and then we will see. Now you can see this is the dimension data. All is dimensions. Order ID will keep it, we will not keep it here because we already come to the fact table, but it's a dimension. Okay. Now now we left with this dimension table. This is the dimension table, but rather than keeping it in a same, we will segregate in a different tables. Now why? Because it has the repeated information. Right now, if I see, it has around 10,000 rows, okay, 9,995. But if I segregated this data, I can save a lot of space. Why? Category will have only 3 values. But now what I'm doing, I'm just consuming hundred thousands of rows, just storing these 3 values. Are you getting my point? So now comes the next step is segregation of dimension data. That's why we have a different dimension tables and only one fact table. Okay, so now it's based on the a simple common sense. It's logic. Now what you can, there is no hard and fast rule here. It's just up to the data developer or the modeler how they want to segregate it. If I talk about the categories, and there should be a subcategory as well. So what I can do, I can keep these two things because both the things are related to each other, right? So let's create one more table and remove everything. Can you see? Earlier I had around 20,000 rows, 10,000 for each. Now it only summarized to the 36 rows, 36 value cells. So this is how you can save a lot of space because databases are too costly and it's time consuming to store to the same value in 100 of times, because right now I have the value of data set of thousands rows only, but in enterprises it has a million or billions records. You can't afford the data to be repeated a millionth time. That's why we segregated. This is how we created a one dimension table. Now the what next step is create the key, primary key for the category. I will explain you in the ETL how to create the key, but right now what will happen? We will create a sequential manner to create the key. No other logic, just a sequential manner. If new category comes, then it will be 18. Okay, so that's how we create the dimension tables and other dimension table. Like as Mala said, that city, country, and region, state will come to the one another dimension tables, dim geography. Okay. Anyone
Okay,
has
yep.
the questions here? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, yes,
Yes.
can hear you.
Yes.
No questions from
So
my side.
Yeah, just one thing here, uh, Anshul, sorry. So just wanted to understand, like, uh, as you have told us the difference between fact tables and dimension tables. So even for for example, if we are doing the transformation, there also we have to try to segregate these tables in this manner in DS, or
can you come again, please? I didn't get your questions exactly.
so like we have our source tables, right, in DS,
Right.
and when we do transformation, we
Mhm.
also create some as you showed us the template tables as well in DS. So do we
Right.
need to create those tables based on this kind of situation? Like which one should be a fact table, one should be dimension table, or is it for transformation, or is it only for reporting purpose?
No, it can be anything. Okay, let me tell you why. It's totally depend on your organization in the teams. Why? Because let's suppose you are the only person who is doing everything. Because job start from the data generation, okay, and ends with the data reporting. Okay. Now there are many developers are working, or it can be a one only as well. I worked in this position as a single source, single developer in this area, or working right now as well. Okay, but I have seen that so many developers are working with a different role as well in this pipeline. But whether you work or not, but you should be aware about it, how the things work. Right now, as Manu shared, that maybe you are working on data migration, so you don't need to build the dimension tables. There will be always be there. You just need to pull the data from somewhere. You have to transform it and just push it to there. But you will, if let's suppose you move to the data warehousing project, then you will stuck. How to create the dimension table, how to design the dimension table. You know the ETL, then everyone should expect, okay, you should know that basic of the ETL, how the things work, right? So that's why here, before designing the ETL, we design the dimension tables and the fact tables.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, because source is defined by the business, but target is defined by the management where they want to see the data in a reporting teams. So they will define, okay, I want to know the sales, the total sales by country. They want to know the total sales from each country, each city, and each departmental store. This is called KPI. KPI is a statement where they want to measure something, key performance metrics. Okay, KPI, key performance indicator. Okay, so they want to analyze some performance. They want to know the sales by total, the total sales by city, country, and the department. From the statement, you can identify they want sales, they want city, they want country, okay, they want departmental store. To drive the sales, you need the quantity of the order. Okay, let me use the notepad. I'm not comfortable with the whiteboard. Okay, they have the sales they want, total sales by city, now what you need the sales. How you will drive? By the quantity, by the unit price. Am I right? For the city, you need the city information, country, okay, and the store. And let's suppose if they ask for you to category as well, that which category is sold most, okay, or the where they have the more customer in a particular subcategory. Okay, that's how the requirement comes, and in that way we design the dimension and fact tables. It's a reverse engineering.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, now one more thing is called relationship. anyone know how to define the relationship between the dimension table and the fact tables? And what type of relationship we have?
Like a foreign key, primary key.
Yes, but it has the type of relationship. That's right. We join based on the primary key and the foreign key, but what different type of relationships we have and what are the purposes of it?
Types like one to one
Yeah,
or
yeah,
one
yeah.
to many.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay. So one to one relationship. So one record in the fact will be having one related record in the dimension table always.
Okay.
And one to many will be like one record in the fact table can be referred by many dimension tables.
No.
Okay.
Okay, don't worry. Let me explain. One to one is simple that one record from the dimension is connected to the one record of fact table. Okay. One to many is when one record of, please make sure that what I'm trying to say, please say, okay, where it go. There is a flow direction as well. Okay, it's uh, it's not very we can't choose the direction by ourselves. Okay, there always is direction drive from the dimension. Okay, one to one is something, one record of dimension is matching with the one record of fact table. Okay, when someone is saying one to many, it means one record from dimension table is matching with the many record of fact table. Okay, one record of, and let's suppose if someone say many to one has the same meaning, same thing. Okay, so don't confuse. If someone is saying that relationship between dimension and fact table is many to one, then again it's a one record of dimension is matching with one many record of fact table. It's not possible to a many record of dimension matching with the one record of the fact table. Okay, so if someone is saying one to many or many to one, it has the same meaning. Got it?
Okay. Yeah. So can you give one example here just for better understanding?
Okay, let me try to give you an example. If we talk about this category, okay, let's suppose this category, this we derive the dimension tables. Here you can see office supplies is, this is, let's suppose this is our category dimensions. Okay, so let's see if you see apply the category office supplies is, then it will have a number of rows, this much number of rows. But when you will connect this value to the category, it will have only one value, like office supplies belong to the, one second, office supplies and the subcategory we have. So we have to apply subcategory appliances. So for all these rows, what will happen? Office appliances, this one, 13. The product 13 will be there. Instead of these two columns, product category and the subcategory, there will be only one value, which will be a 13 only in all the rows. Okay, it will remain same. That's why we will say that 13, this value is matching with many values in fact table. If someone is saying, okay, many to one, again, it means this many is matching with this one value.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
Don't worry, we hopefully we will do a one project, okay, that we will convert all the data as a source. We will drive the dimension tables, we will drive the fact tables, and we will load over there. And you can see, you will do by yourself that how the things are working properly. Okay. Many to many is never recommended, but in the current scenarios or in the current business scenarios, it's arising. Okay. Many to many, sometimes what happens that many records of the fact table is matching with the many records of dimension table. Okay. Right now I don't have the example. Okay, but in a few days I will give you a real example rather than a hypothetical. But it is not recommended, and we always try to avoid this condition. And I will give you the solution how to handle this situation and how to manage if there is a case of many to many. Okay, because it's one of the best use cases in the data services as well, that how to handle the many to many condition if it's there. Okay, so this is all about the BODS overview and some basics of the data warehousing. Okay, and dimension, fact. If something is remaining, if anything comes in your mind, if you want to know more about the data warehousing, you can ask anytime. I will try to answer that. Okay, anyone has questions till now? Again, silence. Okay, so are you guys ready for today's assessment?
Assessment, or do you mean
It's a
like
simple
today's feedback?
quiz.
Okay.
Not feedback. It's just
Okay. Okay.
whatever we learned today. If you want to just go through, it's not an assessment. It's just okay, see that if we received correctly or not. Okay, so we can go through these questions. It's always already there on the portal, NMS portal as well. So do you want to?
Anshul, I joined a bit late, so probably I might not be uh, the best fit to answer all the assessment questions.
Yeah, that's fine, but you
So
can review
yeah,
the questions. Yeah,
yeah,
it
yeah,
will be help you to review or revise the content, right? If
yeah, yeah,
you
sure.
ask, then I will try to answer that as well.
Okay.
Okay. So which of the following option is contained in the BODS? UI development interface metadata repository, data connectivity to store and target, the management console for scheduling of the job, or all of the above?
All of the above.
Yeah, all of the above.
All of the above.
Okay. Choose the important component of the SAP BODS architecture from the following: repository, management console, designer, access server, again, all of the above.
All of the above.
All of the above.
Full form of the
Yeah, all of the
BODS?
above.
A,
A,
business object.
business object
Subjects,
data
data service.
services.
Perfect. And the next is, which of the following essential function will be performed by the central management console? Okay, repository registration, user management, both A and B, and job services.
Mm,
I would say both in A
Both
and
A
B.
and B. Yeah.
yeah,
Not sure. I
How?
think job services also. Um,
Yes, maybe there may be a typo here. Here
Mm.
they are mentioning about the central management console. It should be a data services management console. Okay, so I believe there is a typo here. Okay, because central management console belong to the SAP BO, not for the BODS. Yes, CMC is used for the user management. Okay, so that may be a reason. Okay, central management, I skipped that because it's a part of the SAP BO, which is a reporting tool. It's a combined platform for the BO and the BODS for the user management and any other things as well. But here the question is data services management console, which is the following essential function, which would be a job services. Okay. Hello.
yeah, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
yeah.
We can hear you.
Okay. Data integrator designer allow you to store blank in the repository.
All of the above.
Okay. Select the feature of the SAP BODS console from the following: impact and linear analysis, administration, auto documentation, operational dashboard, data validation. Maybe you remember that I show you one picture regarding the data service management console. What are the features available to us? Let me show you again. Can you see?
Yeah.
So here we have all the features called administrator, auto documentation, data validation. We will go through it. Okay. Impact and linear analysis, operational dashboard, and data quality reports. Okay.
Okay. So all of the above again.
Yes. Which of the following option links the interface between the actual backend database and the data services? I
Data
answered this
store.
question. Anyone else?
Data integrator, web.
Mala, are you changing your option?
Yeah. So I think it's data integrator, web administrator.
Okay.
Because
Anyone else? Just Mala, I will recommend you to just read the question again.
It's a data store, I believe so. Because
okay, yeah,
CMC was just the starting of that one, right? CMC was a different tool, and the data store is the one which is acting as a connection between the database where we are storing the data and
Exactly.
everything.
Exactly.
yeah. It's data store. Yes.
No worries. Select the various type of repositories from the following.
The local and central we have profiler, not sure, so it would be all of the above.
Yeah. I skipped the profiler repository. It's not in a picture for the developers. Okay, it's only useful for the local and central repository. Maybe you remember that profiler server was on the bottom right corner, the job server status in the profiler server, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, profiler repository is nothing but just for the maintaining the profiles. There is no connection between these two things. Okay, the job created in BODS can be real time,
See,
batch job,
C.
Yeah. Yeah. See.
perfectly fine. Yeah. And the last question is which of the following is used by the engine to offer high data connectivity, quality, and the scalability?
C. Parallel processing
yes,
and in-memory data transformation.
Yes. Maybe you remember as well that I explained you about template tables, okay,
Yeah.
and parallel processing of the data flow is also there. So we will cover that as well. Yeah. So there is a one proper. There will be, I believe, there will be a one proper session for the optimization in ETL as well. Okay. One thing each and every developer should keep in mind, it's very easy to design the ETL, to be honest, okay? But it's very hard to design the optimized ETL, okay?
Okay.
It's same thing, but the thing, everyone can develop the ETL, I can assure you, okay? But you have to be expert, you have to learn, you have to invest your time to build or design an optimized ETL. So all the your efforts will go into the optimization. How quickly your ETL execution will complete. That's the main, the key thing. Okay. So our focus should be over there. Whenever we design or develop the ETL, our focus should be designing an optimized ETL, not the ETL only. Let's suppose you design the ETL and it's taking a 10 hours. Then there is no make sense. Okay. Because then again the business hour will start, your report will not be there on time, right? So that's why we have to design the ETL in a way it should complete as soon as possible. I'm not saying in a minute or in a seconds, but in a in an optimized manner only. Okay.
I have one question. So
Yeah,
during
please.
this training, you will be providing with the dummy data as well. Uh, like if we want to see how we optimize,
Yes,
so we'll.
definitely. I'll provide it,
Okay.
and we will have the proper use cases rather than just explaining the things. Okay, I will ask you, all of you, to design the ETL in the live session rather than offline, because in the first few sessions we will ask you to design in the live session, and after that we will give you the task so that you can take it offline and you can complete in your no in after that, after the session or the training.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's it from my side for today, and see you all day after tomorrow. But yeah, please feel free to ask any questions regarding to today's session, or if you have anything else, then I will try to answer that.
Thank you
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone. Bye bye. Bye bye.
Bye.
and bye.
thanks. Bye.
Thank you for attending the session. I hope you all enjoyed it. Don't forget to visit our Vimeo page and follow for more upcoming videos.